guarding the Republic through reason, history, and honest conversation, where duty meets discourse and liberty finds its voice. Together we stand watch as citizens, freelanders, and centenniers, the defenders and guardians of liberty, freedom, and the Republic itself. So grab your favorite adult beverage and join me at the Sentinel Republic.
Oh, bartender, that'll be a double shot of your very best watered-down gin right here.
Hello, and welcome back to the Sentinel Republic, where we're rocking and rolling, partying hardy, and having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. And today we're going to be talking about an update on my books. I'm going to see where we're at on my fiction book and my nonfiction book, as well as we're going to be going over the Alberta Prosperity Project and a little bit of what's going on up there, an update on what's going on in Canada, in Alberta, and that's going to be pretty much the focus for today. Now, as everyone knows, I do have my Sentinel Republic book. It is out, and it's been out. I've had it down in the corner there. If you want to look at, get a purchase on Amazon or whatever, and get a copy of that book. I would love for everyone to give me some more feedback on Amazon and let me know how you think. And I value your comments and suggestions and debate. That's the big thing. I'm looking forward to doing a new edition probably in the near future, probably next year. I'll do an updated edition with, I talk about my Write a Confession, which I haven't really spoke about yet. There is a thing I have on that in my drafting of my third book, nonfiction book, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. I also talk about like the beekeepers division in Homeland Security. I'm also talking about gerrymandering, which I have done a video on, which I encourage everyone to go view. There's some things in there about just some things I even kind of not really changed opinion on, but I didn't really go into enough depth or detail or things, and some things that I might even have a little opposite opinion on if I get in some debates and talks with some other people. But that all said, the good news is my second book, The Lessons of History, in the Sentinel Republic nonfiction series, is in beta read, and I hope to have that out in sometime soon. And a little preview on that. I don't know if I've really talked about it much. It's going to be I would say, I go through every civilization, empire, and other countries and stuff over a period of time. I think I start with the Assyrians or all the way back when, and I have a template for each one essentially, and I go through each one, what they contributed, a quick summary of what they did, and I use a Sentinel index in this to grade the civilization and on its contributions and its fall. And what I'm attempting to do is pinpoint where their government collapsed. And I do like the Roman Empire and the Roman Republic. Yeah, the Roman Republic did change into the empire, but I try to pinpoint where the Republic started to fail, and I go into those kind of things. And I use this index to pinpoint wherever every civilization is in these regards. And I've essentially what I've done in this book, without giving too much away, is I use like 1913 as our really, in the 1913 to 17 range is when we started to erode our republic and crumbled our republic. And I do go into that a little bit in my Sentinel Republic book, but not in so much regard of that issue. That all said, that book is, like I say, in beta read. I hope to have it out sometime in the next few months, maybe 4 months or so. Well, I do want to add on a couple things, an epilogue, and expand that a little bit and give more of my theories of why we are where we are. And one of the things in that is 1913 was also not just Amendment 17, which I talk about it to length in abolishing Amendment 17, but the 16th Amendment, which is also the income tax amendment. So those two, which passed then, and then just a combination of things with all the way up to 1917, and I'll go into those more deep. I don't want to get too much of that right now. We're really struck the ball where our republic is starting to have its issues. That all said, the third book of that series is actually the Constitution is what I'm doing. How these would be possible and how this would be, what it would look like in a new constitution. So I'm actually writing a constitution essentially, and it's not like a thing on our current constitution, because there's a lot of things in there that's, especially when the founders founded it. I mean, everyone, it's essential. I mean, there's a lot of things, and I mean, it was written in a long, many years ago. There's been a lot of court updates. There's been a lot of change things. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't thought of back then. Voter ID, and would we need a ID to vote? I mean, back then they didn't deal with that, and there might have been issues back then way they did stuff. But I don't like some of this stuff nationalizing our elections. I'm not a big fan of that. I do think the states should be in control of the elections. I think the states need more power, and I think our federal government has overgrown itself. There's a lot of things that are taken out of context. The Amendment 17 with the Senate, that should be return the power to the states. You get to a big bloated bureaucracy and nationalized system, it all ends in corruption and mismanagement, and your value becomes the power should be at the local level and then spread into the bigger levels, and then the other states need to have more say in what's going on, and they should have more control. And that's where I'm coming into. Just before I get into that, because I'm going to talk about that with Alberta, because there's a lot of things there that would suggest where I'm going to go at with that. But before I do that, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to talk about my fiction book before I get there. Without War, There Is No Peace. The Stories of Dr. Charles Samzove is really close. I'm currently at 17 in my polish, going through it again. My rework is done. I'm just cleaning up to make sure I didn't have anything loose hairs in there. I hope to have it done this week to next week. And hopefully we'll be out by, I'm hoping March. We'll see how fast the publisher can get a copy edited and everything else. I'm on roll, so I mean, everything should go hopefully pretty smooth. I do have an audiobook I need to do though, but I don't want to do that I can't do that until the final version's done. And I might release it without that at first, but I will have an audiobook for it at some point. We'll see how that goes. We'll just play that by ear. So with all that said, we're looking at, like say, March, The Rise of Evil. So book 2 of that series is essentially complete. I'm going to have to add a few things and expand a few things now that my reworks are done and my additions are done to this first book. And it's in about 85,000 words if you want to know exactly where it's at. But the book 2 is going to need a few more chapters and a couple extra enhancements, but it's essentially done. So I'm looking at June, hopefully, if things go well. I mean, my health has definitely improved. I'm doing better after my surgery, and things are looking up. So hopefully I can get these done. Out of the Ashes is also I'd say about half to 3/4 done. The ending's done on it. The beginning's done. The middle chapters are kind of set, and I just need to kind of expand on a few things in the enhancements in the 3/4 sections. And the fourth book, which currently I have the Sentinel Republic as the fourth book of that series, which I know it matches my nonfiction, and there's a reason for that. But it's I might push it back one book and put another book in between 3 and 5 now, because there's just, I might have too much in Out of the Ashes in that third section to make it its own book. So I might have an extra book in there, but we'll see how that goes. We're going to play that by ear once I get this one released and book 2 released, and then I'll see how the third book develops, and hopefully it'll be out sometime in the near future. With all that said, we're going to move on to the main topic today, and that's Alberta. in Canada and the Alberta Prosperity Project. Really exciting news on that. It's looking really good for them. And this is something that doesn't happen in history very often. A new, established country, something that would be as great as Alberta, which is actually about the size of Texas and has one of the largest oil reserves in the world, and they have the opportunity to become one of the greatest states, if you want to call, or if they ever happen to do that. But I would say they're probably going to want to be their own nation. But there's a lot of benefit to being a state. There's a lot of drawbacks, obviously, and I get that. I mean, I totally understand where Albertans will want to be their own thing and not want to be under a new quote unquote master, which I saw a couple of those comments in my last video, and I totally understand that. And I get that. There's advantages, though, of course, being a state. Canada could leave a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, you're led by the King of England, essentially, but not really. You got a prime minister that chooses your own people. That's the United States is a lot different. Obviously, Colorado, it's Colorado first, essentially, and then United States next, kind of thing, and that's how it's supposed to be. Although that has been eroded, and I do understand the sentiment there. Although we do share a lot of common history, a lot of common culture, and there's a lot of benefits to uniting with the United States. I do understand that, and I do think that would be a debate in the future. But let's focus on the current right now. Seceding from Canada is definitely the right move. Canada's it's a crumbling type of federal system, and it's inevitable, I think, at this point, that especially Saskatchewan and Manitoba and Yukon and all the other provinces are probably, at least on the western side, are going to secede at some point. And we'd welcome them, of course, at least certain ones would welcome them. Politicians, the way it goes, and I kind of talked about this in the other video. I mean, we have to do the Puerto Rico, and which is understandable, and which is not, and that's how it's always been throughout the United States history. We've always had compromises, liberal and a conservative state, or northern southern state before the Civil War. It's a tough call, and I totally understand that it's going to be hard to get through any kind of Congress because Alberta is definitely more of would be considered a conservative state, so it would have a lot of influence in that regard, and I can get that. And it would be a challenge to make that happen. But how do you fix that, and what we do? That's all in another video, and that's all another discussion. But for now, let me fix something here real quick. Sorry about that. Sun just shot out of on the side there and causing a little problem. But anyway, sorry to distract there. What I would like to see, of course, is Alberta lead the way in a lot of ways, and when they're drafting their constitution. And I have reached out to the Alberta Prosperity Project, and I have had a reply, and I've been talking with Dennis Kalma. That he was the primary author of The Value of Freedom. And I do hope to be involved in some way in their constitutional drafting. That would be an amazing, amazing thing for me, and to have something involved. And he is going to hopefully look over my Sentinel Republic book. I would like to found the Sentinel Republic in a sense, and I think it's definitely changes that our country needs. I mean, the biggest thing about the Sentinel Republic, and I think what the Albertans would love to know of, is it's a simplified tax system that I push in the Sentinel Republic. And it's something that we need to do here. The United States is desperate for something. And if you go to my tax video I just did not too long ago, and I encourage anyone going to check that out. We got to do something. 113 different taxes I went over that average Americans pay. Yeah, some states don't have certain ones. Some areas don't have certain ones. Yeah, that's totally get that all the way. God, the sun just is hitting wrongly. Sorry about that. But we got to get down to a system that would make it simple. We don't need to be sitting here doing tax season. It's okay. It's tax season right now. Now we get to go spend all this time on accountants and taxes. My system doesn't have an IRS in a sense. The IRS would be more working with with companies and businesses to collect taxes. Yeah, there would be certain things with businesses. The individual person has no responsibility to pay taxes. I mean, we fought the Revolutionary War over taxes, essentially. No taxation without representation, common sense, Thomas Paine, and all that stuff. It was. Do we have representation now? Is the way we look at it, the way we talk. Yeah, we got representatives, but they're not representatives anymore of us. They're representatives of themselves. They're self-interest in business, self-interest of the parties that they're involved in. The Democrats and Republicans. They have no care about us. They're living in mansions. They go there and they, like Omar, she gets there. And I only had 50,000. Now I'm worth $30 million. How does that happen in a few years? Oh yeah, I bought a winery. Oh, but that one doesn't exist. Oh, let's investigate. How does it take 15 months, 20 months to investigate these people too? I mean, I'm not just using her as an example, but any of them. They're all corrupt. You get up there, you take money from people, you're corrupt. As soon as you take a dime, like I say, if I ever ran for Congress, I wouldn't take any kind of contributions. Do I have a chance of winning? No, not with doing that, because it all runs on money. Because money buys influence. Money buys your vote. And that's what when you go vote, do you realize you're just casting a vote for just another corrupt politician, essentially? Is there going to be maybe one or two that are good in there? Yeah, maybe. But can you name? Can you put me on a name list and see who there doesn't take money from people? Who doesn't go in with their campaign at zero and then comes out with millions of dollars? You try to run, even if you try to take nothing, just printing out your own paper, you have to supposedly register all this stuff. It's ridiculous. A common person, they've made it so a common person like me or anyone else here can't run for Congress. It's impossible. You cannot do it on your own. You can't just put your name on a thing, put your name on a ballot, have a few debates, and get your name out there. You can't do it. It's impossible. It takes millions of dollars. It takes staff. It takes everything you need to get in the Congress. Everything. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be trying to convince people that this is what we need to do to effect change. This is what we need to do. And it's not about screaming the loudest and making major changes. No, it's talking about, let's try this, a little thing, and little things here and little things there, not 1,200-page bloated bills and budgets. But when it comes down to taxes, let's get back on that subject. Simplified tax system, one system. You don't tax productivity. You don't tax investment. You don't tax anything that would prevent growth. You don't tax, and you want to be fair. The rich have to pay their fair share. What's a fair share? Everyone should pay the same thing. We're all human. We're all the same. We're all equal. So why don't we all pay the same exact share? So easy. One tax. One system on 4 different levels. You have a federal level. You have a state level. You have a county level. And then you have a municipal level. And each one of those levels, when you go to the store, let's say I want to go to the store and buy $100 worth of something. You're going to have to pay the tax on that. Okay, yeah, it's going to be a higher tax. It's going to be you're going to be paying more when you go to the grocery store. When you go to the let's just say we're going to buy a $100 TV or something. So small TV, $100. I'm going to pay. Let's see what the effective rate would be. And I've ran some calculations, just with things. Let's just do a round number. Let's say the tax rate is 20%. Okay, let's make it 20%. Right now we're paying 35% with income tax, plus all the other garbage. And that's just at the federal level. But when you go through all the stages, let's say federal tax is 10, state tax is 5, county tax is 3. Well, I'm just using round numbers too, by the way, and it's not going to be that. We have to get around, sit down and budget it, and go through. That's what the new IRS would do. Essentially, it'd be more of the Treasury and trying to decide what rates are. But let's see. We're going to go through here. We're going to do all the rates here, and we're going to look at it and we're going to say, hey, we need this much money. So we're going to have to calculate the rate. But let's just say it's 20%. Break down in those four tiers. So you're going to be paying 20% when you go buy that $100 TV. Okay. So I paid $20. So it's going to be $120. Yeah, it's going to cost more. You're getting all your income tax in your check, my friends. You're going to be not having to worry about property tax, my friends. You're not going to have to be worried about fees, all these quote-unquote fees that they charge, and other kind of tariff tax and all these other taxes that are hidden in background, income taxes on state, and excise tax, inheritance tax, all these gift, death tax, wealth tax, all this garbage that they need assessors for, that they have to come evaluate your house and all that stuff. You wouldn't have to have all that. First off, you wouldn't have to have this bloated system. And you would be able to shrink, first off, all that stuff. Oh, well, all these people that, yeah, who doesn't want those, too, by the way? Politicians don't, right? They can't get all that money. They can't embezzle that money. They can't hide all that money. They won't be able to corrupt all that money in the bureaucracy. Simplify it. You get it down to the nitty gritty. And then it's broke down in nice 4 little ways here. And everyone pays it. Yeah, things are going to be more expensive. When you go buy your car, it's $50,000. You're going to have to pay 20%. You want to buy your house? There's another 20% on top of that. 100, let's do $200,000 house. Yeah, you're going to be paid $40,000. So it's $240,000. But you own it. And it's yours. You can't get taken by the government. I mean, yeah, you could get foreclosed on with the bank. That's a little different. But at the same time, if your property tax doesn't get paid, there won't be no property tax on it. So, yeah, and then when you have to go and buy insurance, you're going to have to pay 20% on that. So you got to budget that in. Yeah, I get that part. But at the same time, you're going to be getting your full check. And if you sell your house, there's no capital gains on it. Let's say you want to go invest in a business, right? You want to put $100,000 in Bitcoin, let's just say, or whatever. You want to put $100,000 in Google or whatever. I want to buy the stocks. Yeah, I'm going to be paying taxes on that. Boom, I'm going to take it. Yeah, I'm going to lose $20,000. So it's going to cost more to put that money in. And the government gets all that behind you. They're going to be getting this. But you get all the gains off that, my friends. That's all your money. What is this going to cause, though? This is what you got to think. Oh, well, how are you going to do it? What's it going to cause? People are still going to spend money. The rich are going to spend the money. They're still going to buy the yacht. They want the prestige. They're still going to have the mansions. Do you think they're going to? Yeah, they're still going to do it. They can complain all they want. It's going to cost them a ton more money. But they're getting away with it right now. Let's say they want to go buy a yacht, right? $1 billion yacht. Okay. They use it as business expense, and that's why the 1040 is so thick, and they got all these politicians have made rules for thee and not them. And they've got all this broke down so that they can write off all these expenses, all these big purchases. They're buying mansions, they're buying all this stuff. They write it off because they don't have to. They don't have to pay the taxes on it. That's what they made that 1040 so goddamn complicated for. That's why you need an accountant to read through all those little lines to help get you through those things. Instead of having a simplified system that just breaks it down real easy. When you go purchase it, money goes right to the government. Yes, you don't need all these accountants and all this stuff. Simplified, the accountants can then focus on just the business and raising money and building the business and budgeting the money and focus on that instead of having to worry about paying taxes and stuff like that. They just have to collect the sales tax and send it right to them. Whatever the consumption tax is, boom, right there. And then it'd be transparent, by the way. I go into detail in my book about this, how it would work. Because, like, let's say we want $1 million aircraft carrier. We have simplified bills in my system. One subject, one bill comes up for the House. They come debate. Here it is. We got an aircraft carrier. It's going to cost, let's say, $100 billion to build this aircraft carrier. Whatever. Okay, I'm just using round numbers. I know it costs more than that and whatever. I'm just using rounded numbers. They need the numbers. It's going to cost this much. We need to raise the tax rate for, let's say, 1/10 of a point for 6 months or whatever it's going to be for the national federal tax rate until whatever they're going to have to budget it out, right? And we're going to have to figure out. But one bill, we're going to have to raise the rate for this much, and it sunsets at 6 months. None of this long-term caring thing. No. And then I also make it illegal to make the government go into debt unless we're at war. We have to have an official declared war before we take on any new debt. We're almost $40 trillion, my friends. A national debt. We're paying more interest in our military spending. Just the interest on this is going to supersede our freaking military budget, right? And that's our biggest expense. The interest alone, that's not paying back and we're spending more. We're $4 trillion. We can't keep sustaining that, my friends. What are we going to get to $100 trillion? And then what are we going to do? It's going to collapse at some point. We got to know this. They know it. They know it. Just always kicking the can down the road. Eventually, it's going to come. We're going to have the roosters come home to roost or whatever. Chickens come home to roost, you know. And it's going to be a disaster. Absolute disaster. They're waiting for it. Well, can't let a good crisis go to waste, I always hear. But you can't just keep kicking this down the road. You can't keep going into debt. What if we went into debt like that? Is anyone going to come bail us out? Is Germany and France or any of these other countries going to help bail us out when we get into trouble? Are they going to give us anything? No, we keep giving them money. We keep sending money overseas. We keep sending money to every other country. But we don't help ourselves and we just keep going into debt. We can't keep doing it. And these politicians just keep raking in the money. So Alberta's in a great position here. Once they get out there, I know they have to pay off their pensions. They have to take care of all that business. And I read that in the Freedom document. The value and freedom. And that's very, very, they're doing the right way. They're going to take care of their business. And I just hope they can set up a nice system like this constitutionally to make it simplified. Force just a simple tax system that cannot take advantage of the people by layered taxes. 113 taxes. How many taxes can we get? They're going to start taxing us for the air we breathe. There's an uncontrolled system here. Municipalities can tax for whatever. It's not sustainable. And what does it do? It causes distrust. People get pissed. 90% of the people in this country, guarantee you, have a problem with our tax system. It's not a Democrat, Republican, or liberal, conservative. It's not. It's everyone's in agreement. Our taxes are screwed up. And I can't even imagine what Alberta's going through with the way that things are up in Canada, the way they have their system with the universal health care and everything else. And that's another thing. Why does a big nation have to have its universal health care? If they want to have some kind of health care program, go through the municipalities and the counties and the states. The federal government doesn't need to be getting involved in health care at all anyway, except for maybe some kind of trade regulations and stuff like that between the states and everything else and nations. Ensuring that there's some safety standards. Okay, we can go into that stuff, but a nationalized healthcare system is just a way to crumble the society. Any kind of socialized program. And we can go out with Social Security all day. Social Security is unsustainable as well. People can you bring it up and people automatically scream, "Oh, you're going to take my Social Security." And I get it. And I get the fear. You've paid into it all your life. I've paid into it all my life. And I know I'm not going to be able to see in any of it because it's unsustainable. You can't sustain it, not the way it is. But I don't want it. I shouldn't have to pay into it anyway. Why do I have to pay into a retirement account? Why do we have 401ks that are managed? Why can't I put what I want in my own damn account? Why does the government have to manage what I'm taking? That's my money. I made that money. That's my working money. And the government wants more. It wants to be in every aspect of your life, my friends. And yet liberals can't seem to see this, especially liberals and progressives. They want more wealth tax. They want more taxes. We got to have more taxes. We got to have the rich pay their fair share. It's never the rich that pay it. It's never these big corporations. Oh, we got to raise more. Look at these wealthy corporations. Let's tax some more. They're not going to pay it. They're not paying a damn dime. It comes right out of when you go down to the store to buy something from them. You can't win that way. You're losing. And yet you can't get it through. That socialism and Marxism is nothing but tyranny. And you could say Donald Trump's tyranny. There's things he's doing that's incorrect in my opinion, yeah. And I can go on those all day too. And conservatives, they got their own problems as it is, but at least they focus on individual freedom and individual liberty and individual growth. That's what we really need to focus on, individual growth. Oh, we need to make force colleges. Let's look at just focus on the student program, student loan program. What happened when the student loan program? We made it Sally Mae, Freddie Mac. Let's force these loans out. If you want a loan, you get a loan. Oh, yes, sounds so great. Free education for all. We get to go to college. When I was in college before all this, I went to Western State in Gunnison, and I paid, I think my tuition, my whole year, my first year was somewhere around 1800 for the whole year. I think it was. I was paying like $150, $300 a course. I can't remember exactly, and I don't want to put words. I know it wasn't over 2,000. I put my whole way through college too, by the way. I didn't take one loan. I paid for all my room and board. I took care of it all because I worked 3 or 4 jobs growing up, and I saved my money, and I had it all. But at the same time, that all said, look at it now. You can't go to college nowadays. Why is that? Because the government got involved with the student loan program, made it we guarantee to give you loans. You want a loan? You're going to go to Harvard. You're going to take out $100,000 loan. How you going to pay that back? Oh, it doesn't matter. Government's got it covered. It's federally insured. But what did the colleges do? It's guaranteed money. We're going to get our money whether this kid drops or fails or flunks or doesn't graduate. We don't care. They're going to get their money. So what do? Jack up the prices. Jack up the prices, and then it goes up, and then it causes the whole system to collapse. And then next thing you know, colleges are unsustainable, and even you can't afford it. And then what do you got? You got a worthless degree that you can't get a job at Starbucks with. So you end up with a big old loan and that you can't repay. And then who has to eat it? Taxpayers do. Do I get a refund? I never took a loan. But was it fair for me? Is it fair to them? Why don't you get more jobs? Why don't you pay your way through? Get rid of these student loans guaranteed by the government. As soon as the government gets their hands in there, what does it happen? You do Social Security. Oh, it sounds well great. It's going to take care of you when you get old. Medicare is going to take care of when you get old. And what is it? It doesn't give you nothing. It's not a great program. You could say, oh, I'm getting $1,200 a month on my Social Security. Yeah, you're living in a little house and you can't afford it. You still can't afford to live because everything else keeps going up. Yeah, I paid into it all your life, but it's not worth them anything now. Why? Because all these things guaranteed. And they ripped it off. I mean, the politicians ripped it off, and we can go on that all day. Would Social Security be in good shape today if they didn't rip it off? Maybe. And same thing with any pension program. They all get corrupted because they're all run by corrupt people. Because once you get power, money and greed and power in there, it gets stolen. And then it's raped and there's nothing left in it. And now it's unsustainable. And it's going to collapse. Medicare, then you get universal health care, Medicaid, and all these things. They're all taking advantage of this system. Because why would doctors, if they do get doctors, they work with it, they're going to get their money. Oh, we get a Medicaid contract and everything else, and it's lower rates. But no, they're taking advantage of that system. They jack up the price to them. They send them the bill. I've seen it. You get the government involved. So Alberta is in a great spot here to set up these safeguards. And that's what my whole book's about. The Sentinel, guards to protect. We need our checks and balances back. What have the socialists have been doing over the years? I'm talking about in 1913 and even in the 40s. That's when the 40s, when FDR, that's when they set up Medicare and Social Security. These socialists, these Democrats have put in place things to erode the republic. They want a powerful nation state so they can control everything. And that's not what the United States was made to be. It was a union of states. And each state had its own rules, and each state had its own laws, that had to be enforced by the structure of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Yes, but and what's in the Constitution, but yet still the states that's the whole the 10th Amendment. Anything not in this document is up to the states. And that's how it should have been with like abortion. That's how it should have been with all these things. Healthcare and everything else. It should be state ran stuff, not the federal government super making laws to do everything. I mean, you can go into all that stuff. And that's why, but Alberta has a perfect opportunity here to set up their safeguards now at that level and be the model for everyone else. And be the model to set up this Sentinel Republic. Yeah, I use sortition, and the whole thing is about sortition. And people might say, so what is sortition? And I should do a video. I haven't done a video on that yet. Maybe because that's the basis of my book, and it is the uniqueness of my book, and it's something I've been pushing since college. I did my first paper on this when I was in college. The value of sortition. Sortition is the solution to corruption. Is it the perfect situation? There is no perfect situation for human beings. Let's just put it mildly. There's no perfect system for humans. We all are flawed. We all have our issues. Everyone does. I do. I admit my flaws. I'm not perfect in any way. Is there a way to be corrupt in my system? Yeah, sure there is. There's always ways to be corrupt. But my system, like, you got to make guardrails, sentinels, Sentinels. That's what I call my citizens in my book. I don't refer to us as Americans anymore. I call us Sentinels and Freelanders. We're Freelanders seeking to be in a freedom area, and Sentinels to help protect our republic. We have to do it. Not politicians, not lawyers, not insurance salesmen, not solicitors. Just average citizens need to take care. And I'm not trying to bash on lawyers and insurance salesmen, by the way. But lawyers tend to become politicians, and that's one thing and the next another. But there's so many laws at this point. That's a different subject. But we need to be united, and that's what sortition's all about. You being part of the system, you being called upon to serve the system for a short time. You're well rewarded. You get to go vote on simplified bills when you're called, and there's choice. I'm not forcing people to do it. There's a system. That's what my whole book's about. It's got a system. There's a system in here. Is there tweaks to it? Probably. I simplify it by doing like 250, I think, is what the number I came up with. And they go before the election judges on selection day, which I make a national holiday, by the way. Everyone gets to participate. Yeah, I know there's law enforcement. We can go into those details a little bit. But next election day, you're free. That's the day you need to participate in civic duty and civic engagement to help bring all our voices together, bring us all in one united front to help build our government and strengthen our government. You get called upon, maybe you're pregnant, maybe you have a family issue, maybe you can't serve. That's perfectly fine. Those are understandable reasons. You get it down to another 10, and then you do another random set in the 10 that are eligible. And then 2 go. 1 as an alternate in case something happens. You might get called home. But then there always is another person there, and you're well rewarded. Yeah, there's might be more money involved instead of this $100,000 you get, but your assets will be frozen. Your businesses will be safe. You're well taken care of, and you'll be put up. You get to live a good lifestyle. And yeah, some people wouldn't want to do it. Some people are too biased to do it and couldn't do it fairly. And that's totally understandable. And that's what this whole process is supposed to do. Is it's just like a jury selection. You got to pick a jury, and there's some reasons that some people can't, and that's totally understandable. It's not like you're going to pick one person in the whole area and you're going to go and you're forced to go. That wouldn't be a very good system. But no, you have to get volunteers at the same time. But you, like I say, you're well rewarded too. Some people would be encouraged to go. Some people would want to go and do their duty. A lot of people would. That's what it seems like the people understand. A lot of people would love to go serve their country too. In that regard, some countries force you to go to the military. We have a civil service, but so I think Switzerland, and some people are forced to serve the military for 2 years, and that's required. You have to do it whether you want to or not. So, I mean, I'm like I said, this is not a forcing thing, but what it does, it's going to put regular people in position, and then you still make things hard to pass. That's how it was made to be. Things should be unanimous. Want to be passing some things, at least 2/3 of the people, not this 50-50. That's why democracies aren't a pure democracy. Engaged democracies do not work either. Just like socialist societies, democracy is essential. Don't get me wrong. Voting is essential, especially in a local situation. But when you get a big bloated world like we have in the federal government, it doesn't work. You can't do a democracy at that level. It is impossible to work. And I'm not, democracy's involved. I'm not saying democracy's horrible. Don't get me wrong on that. Don't take me out of context, because that is not what I'm saying. And I put that right in here. Democracy is Superman in this book. But he needs a Batman to run around with him to keep the kryptonite from wearing him down. We have to have democracy. It's essential for freedom and liberty. But he can't get, the founders knew it, it can't get out of control. You have to keep it in a controlled environment. Universal democracy it does not work. You can't just have a pure, that's why we're not a democracy. I can't stand it when these politicians say, our democracy, our democracy. It's not our democracy. Our republic's at threat by democracy, if you want to call it that. By this 50-50 engagement. By these filibustering stuff like that in the government. So all that said, I think we're in a good position here to see Alberta hopefully become its own state or nation. I'd love to see their constitution, where they're going with it. I encourage maybe some of my ideas and being involved in that. Well, I would love to see that happen. I will keep people updated on that if I can. My books are coming along. I do hope to have those coming along as well. I hope people do like this video, and I do want to hear your comments on this. I do want to hear what people think, especially up north in Canada, in Alberta. I do hope they got a good idea where I'm coming from on this. I do believe, United States is a great nation. We do have our issues. I would like to see the Sentinel Republic exist. I call it the Sentinel Republic of the United States. It's my name of my book, my third book. The Sentinel Republic of the United States. And I want to get there someday. A United States, not a nation, not what we're going with now. Not this, I still believe in the flag. We still have a history. And the flag isn't just about one thing here. We got things in our history that are bad. We have things in our history that are good. That's what we bring in. We are united. Each state has its own history. Each state has its own contribution. Just like Alberta, if it ever decided to join this republic. And any of these other states, Saskatchewan or anyone else, if we ever got them to, we would be a united culture, a state of freedom, a state of liberty, where your state is what's important. But yet we're united still in a global, not a global, didn't mean global, in a united front against globalism. And people that don't want to be part of this culture, I don't understand why people come and not want to be part of this freedom of culture. It still baffles me in a sense. But to start your history here would be awesome. And I would love to see it. See what happens. Grow our nation some more. Get us more together. I mean, there's not much different from Montana to Alberta. And I love our hockeys. I love Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Ottawa Senators, Montreal Canadiens. I mean, Patrick Waugh. I was a Quebec Nordiques fan before the before the Avs came here. Before me, well, they moved here. I mean, I was Joe Sakic. I love Joe Sakic and Forsberg. I was watching them as the Nordiques. I was also a big Pat LaFontaine fan. He's my favorite hockey player if I had to go down to it. So I love our hockey. I love our relationship we have. And, you know, to be a part of this great America, not just Canada and United States, but we we're so alike in so many ways. But the country of Canada, their government has just become, unfortunately, too bloated, and ours getting there too. I totally get why Alberta wouldn't want to do it, but if we can affect this change and show these models, this simplified system, we're about the people, about freedom, about liberty. Maybe we could affect the change here in the United States. Show Alberta has a chance to show everybody how freedom and liberty can really work. Take our lessons from our great nation that we have and expand them into what I'm looking at in here and what we can all come up with and make not just Alberta the best nation in the world, the best government in the world, but the freest and most liberty nation in the world, even better than the United States. And then show us how this can be possible and how our system can be benefited. I have a draft of a 28th Amendment that has some of this stuff that I would love to take to Congress and debate and get on the floor. But they won't listen because, you know, politicians do not want that. Not one bit. They don't want to take their power away. Chuck Schumer, could you think of him trying to get any of this? No way. Thune or any of the Republicans, are they going to... Not some of them, maybe a small majority. Yeah, maybe some of the libertarian-ish Republicans in Congress. Yeah, maybe. But then we're going to lose some money. But maybe they have enough money and they actually, oh yeah, let's try it. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see some of them come out and say something. Maybe Kennedy. He's pretty funny and he seems to be down to earth. You know, we could always hope. But, you know, I mean, there's just so much power and corruption in the government at this point. How is it going to be? But that's why that's where Alberta comes in. They have the opportunity right now to set these standards and show how this can be for their people. And that would be amazing. That would be awesome. And I would love to be part of that project. And we'll see where it goes. And I will keep people up to date. And until the next time, when I get back, we will see where it goes. But I hope you like this video. Please leave me a comment. Please subscribe to the channel if you would. It does mean a lot. I do like debate. I do like comments. I did read all those ones the last time, and I did reply to a few people. I don't get on as much as I used to. I'm really focused on my fiction book right now, and it is taking a lot of my time at the moment. But like I say, I'm getting close to be done, so I do hope to get some more of these videos out more regularly. I do have some commitments that I've been doing, so that's why I didn't have a video last week. But I do try to get one out every Friday, and I know this has gone long. It's about 47 minutes, but I do hope it really made a difference, and I do hope that there's a way we can get to something like the Sentinel Republic, especially in Alberta. That would be amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you have a great day. Till next time.